Hello, welcome back to Tetra Football, and Patrick Bamford is rubbish. More on Bamford and Leeds later as I round up all of the weekend's fixtures, starting with Spurs 1, Brentford 3, and surely this must be embarrassing for Spurs, and it's a disappointing end that kind of sums up their season to what could be Kane's final home game for the club. I mean, it's bad enough for Spurs fans as it is seeing Arsenal do so well, but on the final day of the season they can mathematically become only the third best team in London, with Brentford having the possibility to overtake them. And yes, I said third, not even second best worst team in London, third. All it would take for this to happen is for Spurs to drop points against a desperate Leeds side trying to avoid relegation, and for Brentford to get a win against what's likely going to be the Man City B team. And need I remind you, this season Brentford have been giant killers. They've had massive results against Liverpool, City already. They've already beat this season. Spurs, they've beaten everyone really. And yeah, Brentford could definitely overtake Spurs here. Anyway, more on the game itself. In the 8th minute, Kane smashes in a well-worked free kick. And honestly, for the first time this season, Spurs had a first half where they actually looked like a fluid team. Kulusevski, Son, Danjuma and Kane all interchanging and all looked very fluid in the attack together. But I mean, the second half was a completely different game. Brentford completely dominated, got 3 goals, and Bueno got a brace before Yohan Wissa put the icing on the cake in the 88th minute, and whatever Ryan Mason said at that half team talk, it clearly backfired worse than Chelsea hiring Graham Potter. Next up was Wolves 1, Everton 1, a vital game for Everton, one that arguably needed to be a win for them to help with their survival push, and especially considering it was against an already safe, nothing to play for Wolverhampton Wanderers team. In this game, after Hwang Hee-chan slotted home a rebounded Adama Traore shot, it honestly looked like Everton were going to get relegated. But in the end, they fought back. Yerry Mina pokes it in, not even 98th minute, not even 99th minute, 100th minute of the game to salvage a point for Everton that could be so crucial in keeping them up this season. Next up, Liverpool 1, Aston Villa 1, and it's a game Liverpool fans may feel like they're robbed. Lots of shouts for Tyrone Mings to have received a red card for the challenge on Cody Gakpo, but I do think that this result has definitely condemned Liverpool to the Europa League. I mean, it was unlikely anyway, but now they're pretty much guaranteed to finish there. But what it does also mean that because of the draw, Aston Villa are pretty much guaranteed Europe as well now. So bittersweet for both teams really. And of course, Roberto Firmino had his farewell Anfield goal for the crowd. What a moment that was. I do have to say, what a job Unai Emery has done though with that Villa team. Steven Gerrard in charge. They looked useless, but he's come in and they look such a better team. And honestly, the better Emery does, the longer he stays in the job, the more Steven Gerrard looks like a managerial pancake. Bournemouth 0, Man United 1. A bit of a boring game. United obviously scored through Casemiro having a great bit of technique to score. However, don't let United fans convince you that this was some absolutely brilliant goal. Great technique, but he was only 6 yards out and should have been an easy win, and it was. And Europe it's not mathematically guaranteed, but it is in the bag for Man United now. Fulham 2, Crystal Palace 2, and for this game, I want to give full credit for the managers, not for this game specifically, but for what they've done for both their clubs so far this season. They've both done absolutely ridiculous jobs so far. First up, Roy Hodgson, and he's so old he should be getting spoon-fed shepherd's pie in a nursing home. But no, he's in the Premier League, engineering results for Crystal Palace, and crucially, as their problem was under Vieira, he's got them scoring goals again. And Marco Silva, honestly, I need to send a handwritten apology to this man, because after his job at Everton, I thought he'd be rubbish with Fulham, I thought he'd have them relegated, but I think he's proven me, excited them to go down, and a lot of other people wrong, because every issue people thought there might have been with the Fulham team, whether it was Mitrovic not being able to score too many goals, whether Marco Silva himself was good enough, he's completely proved them wrong this season, and he's done an absolutely brilliant job at Fulham, and full credit goes to him really. I mean, he's even got Willian playing well. How do you do that? Forest 1, Arsenal 0, and if you want to see what I thought about Arsenal in this game and their title challenge as a whole, make sure to check out my video titled I Was Right About Arsenal. But for this, because I've already covered Arsenal, I'm going to talk about Nottingham Forest and Steve Cooper. What a job that man has done. Completely new squad in the summer compared to what he had this season before. Obviously not having players like Jed Spence, but with all the signings he's had, to be able to knit that team together and have them actually working as a team is honestly an incredible job. And I just want to credit how well he has done, because in a harsher world, he could have easily been sacked. And who would have been one to complain? He had gone on several losing streaks. He had a period where they hadn't won in 10 games. And honestly, if he had got sacked, it wouldn't have been an issue. But fair play to the Forest board for trusting him. It's come off for Forest, and they're going to stay up. Will they suffer from second season syndrome? We'll have to find out next year. But for now, let's also credit Taiwo Owanui for coming alive in the last few games. 5 goals in 3, not too shabby. West Ham 3, Leeds 1. A good win for West Ham as David Moyes attempts to salvage his reputation and also salvage West Ham's season by winning a European trophy for the club. I mean, it's for Conference League, but hey, that still counts. European trophy would be more trophies than Arsenal have won this season. Leeds, on the other hand, after this result, they look set to go down, despite taking the lead in this game. And honestly, the first half an hour or so, they look good. West Ham were under a bit of pressure. Leeds were the better team. But then West Ham equalise, and Patrick Bamford has to come off injured. And he's the player I want to focus on here, because he had a great first half of this game, was a brilliant focal point for Leeds here, and was definitely a key man in their game plan. But then on 34 minutes roughly, I think, he has to come off injured. And I think that's a big fault for Leeds. They could have definitely scavenged a point here that could have been vital in their survival push. And honestly, Patrick Bamford, I want to focus on him, because if you remember, he's missed a lot of games for injury this season, which is not ideal for Leeds. He is an important player for them, despite him not always performing to that level. So he's missed games for injuries, and then you remember when he's come back recently, missed an absolute sitter against Leicester that Leeds could have then won the game, got vital 2 extra points. That would be so important now. And also you remember against Newcastle, where Leeds were actually on top, surprisingly, really. But then Bamford gets a penalty, they're 1-0 up to make it 2-0, but he misses it, and a couple minutes later, Newcastle get a penalty of their own. Callum Wilson shows him how it's done. Newcastle score, and suddenly Newcastle have a team on top. Leeds are under pressure, and Leeds miss out on vital points yet again. And honestly, I am criticising Patrick Bamford here, but I'm criticising his footballing performance. The stuff I've heard about him getting abused online, his family members being abused, is unacceptable. So anyone doing that should be ashamed. But it is okay to criticise their footballing performance if they're not doing well enough. And currently, I think Leeds fans are in the right to do that. Just don't take it too far. Keep it football related. Attacking his family is in no way right. Brighton 3, Southampton 1. Southampton already down. Doesn't matter for them. Brighton, they've secured Europa League football. And Evan Ferguson is going to be an absolute star. Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0. Chelsea absolutely rubbish. Lampard should never manage again after this. And City, the fact they can actually beat another Premier League side. Let's not forget, a Premier League side that spent 600 million this season with their B team. That is an absolute joke. That is ridiculous. Pep Guardiola and Man City, if he stays, they're about to turn this into Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, because they dominate domestically, and currently they're on for the treble. Just 2 wins needed this season against Inter in the UCL final and Man U in the FA Cup final. Can they do it? Quite possibly, but seriously, this Man City team is going to take some stopping. Final game of the weekend's fixtures. A boring 0-0, but a nervy one for both sides. Leicester and Newcastle played out a 0-0 draw. This could have been a vital point for Leicester, but is it too little too late? Will it be enough to help them survive on the final day? Gonna have to find out next week. But Newcastle, with the draw, it's not the flashy way they would have liked to secure it, but they have secured UCL football. The fact they were in the relegation zone just 18 months ago, and now UCL football is coming to St James's Park. What a time to be a Newcastle fan. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Tell me what you thought about these week's Premier League games. Which one stuck out to you the most? Which game was absolutely rubbish if you want? Which player you think was rubbish? Which player you think was great? Let me know in the comments down below. And also remember to like, comment and subscribe. See you guys next time.